I know this is supposed to be about pet peeves, but I want to talk to you about a defense of what many people have as a pet peeve, and that is arguing, conflict, friction. I'm all for it. No, I like to have a good argument. I really do. And when I was dating Christine, my wife, she wasn't my wife then, we were dating, I used to argue with her father, who was a doctor, a wonderful man, and a staunch Republican, pro-Nixon. I was not. And I have fond memories of arguing with him in the dining room of the house in New Jersey. And the arguments would be interesting back and forth until one day I suggested that Spyro Agnew, you don't know who he was, but he was once a heartbeat away from the president, vice president, and he was former governor of Maryland, and he was a bagman he had money delivered to him in his residence as a bribe. So he got in trouble, and they got rid of him before they got rid of Mr. Nixon, which was a prudent thing to do. But I suggested that Spyro Agnew should be prosecuted under the H. Rap Brown law, which was a law that they passed. H. Rap Brown was a black, then seemed to be radical, maybe he still is, Black Panther, and he would go from. They had this law because he was accused of inciting riots wherever he went, because he would get people excited about the injustices that he was talking about. So I suggested that Spyro Agnew should be prosecuted under the H. Rap Brown law. My father-in-law, who also enjoyed a good argument, really got mad at me, and he said, "That's it, let's talk about baseball." And I tried to keep the argument going. We're going to talk about baseball. How about those Yankees? Now, I'm a Boston fan. Ideologically, this is not much of an improvement. So we had those arguments as well. But what I really wanted to talk to you about is have the arguments. It's good to have arguments. It's good to have that conflict out, to be respectful, be decent. One of my pet peeves is at the gym. I go to the gym, obviously not nearly enough, but I go to the gym. And have you ever noticed that there are people at the gym that talk loudly? And it seems that the people that talk the loudest have what I consider to be the most obnoxious political opinions in the world. And I like an argument. So I'm on the treadmill, and there's a gentleman to my right, and he's talking to a woman to his right, and they are on my far right. And they're watching a certain news channel, and this is just a couple weeks ago, and the guy says, "You know what I hate about politics is they're like children in a sandbox, and they can't get along. And if they'd only just get along and be reasonable, then things would be much better." I'm saying, okay, that's not so bad for a loud guy. Usually they're a lot more obnoxious than that. And then he says, and that Nancy Pelosi, the only reason she can't talk out of both sides of her mouth is the Botox that she gets. And I said, I like an argument. I said, excuse me, you began the conversation saying that you would like all politicians to get along and not be childlike, and you're criticizing Ms. Pelosi not on the basis of her political opinions or the programs or what she supports, but on her looks. You are no better than the people you're criticizing for being very childlike, because that is a schoolyard move to mock somebody's looks. And he says to me, "This was a private conversation." And I said, "Would that it was." If it's a private conversation, how come I can hear it? I'm not trying to hear it. I'm on a treadmill trying to get some exercise, and I have to listen to you. So, have the argument, be respectful, enjoy the argument.